Good morning. Happy July. Today I'm going to tell you about my basically profit or money that I made online as an entrepreneur slash solopreneur in the month of July 2026. So we went full time into this basically on the 1st of January 2026. Now, before that, we'd been making some money, so I knew we could make something, but we've really tried to go all in across this time. And so this month, we have successfully closed over 10k in deals, which is good. That's 2 months in a row, or maybe three of 10k closed months. But we're going to dive a little bit deeper into what that really means and where we're going forward, because we have a projection that maybe in 2 months this 10k closed could become like 20 or 30, which is crazy if you actually think about it for real and not just in numbers. Anyway, so let's first talk about closed versus paid so that we all know, and then we'll talk a little bit about where we are and where we're going because things have changed quite a lot. So, closed deals versus paid deals. Closed is like your revenue, but not even. Paid is actually your revenue. So, this is really your revenue. Closed is like signed ish, so it's gonna happen at some point. Now, the closed thing, basically, you can close a deal that's maybe 3 months long, and it still counts as closed in this month. And that's the way I operate it on a closed basis for like when deals have actually been signed, because I know that real companies do this too. It's not just me making up numbers. But that's why I differentiate it from paid, which is money actually that people send to you, basically. So British pounds, 8,000, aka about $11,000 closed. Now, for context, 11k in America, that would bring you to what, 132 a year, which actually isn't that much for someone like with my experience. But if you, like, for example, if I was a cloud engineer still or a consultant, but in the UK, 8 a month would be 92k, which is well high. Like that in the UK is almost double what I was getting at my job as closed, but that's not what we're actually getting. We're getting, kind of half of that. So in reality, here paid 45 or 4,500 British pounds, which is, I don't know, 10, 45 plus 9, at 54k, which is still more than I was getting at my last job, which is cool, as top line. And then 6k for American, which turns into like 72, which is rubbish in America. But over here, it actually turns out to be not too bad. So, this is the money that we're working with. And now, here you will have noticed, if you've seen the channel for a little while, we're kind of at this ballpark all the time. We seemingly can't get out of it. And I think I know why. And the reason why is because of what we're focusing on. And I'll go into that in a second, but first I just want to briefly touch on expenses, because although 4,500 sounds good, there's a few things to note. So if you were to think of an income, you would get your tax-free allowance, which is about 1,000. If you have multiple directors or different employees, that number can, multiply. So say, you had two, then you're still left with about 2.5k. And then of this 2.5k, you're still probably, or we are, you could be spending hundreds of dollars, especially on AI subscriptions for vibe coding and stuff, and various other activities. You could be spending up to 1,000, so then you're like minus 1k, and then say you have 1.5 left, and of this, 20% goes to the government, give or take, and then of what's left, another, so we'll do that as an 8, and then of what's left, you have to pay dividend tax if that's being distributed. So 1.5 times 0.8 is like 1.2 or whatever, times by that. So it's basically about 1, maybe 1.1k. So in reality here, even if you had two people who are directors plus this, you're only getting about 3.1 here after expenses and then tax, which is nothing at all, really. So anyway, this is just realistic numbers so that people understand what content creators can actually make. So why are we stuck in this like 4 to 5k in British, or what would it be in American, like 5 to 7 an American $1,000. Why are we stuck here? And so I think I know the problem, which is if you have like your entire day, right, and then you split it up, basically, in my working day, just for example, say this is making me money, and this is maybe making me money. So this is things that we're hoping to do. So basically, this here is our sponsored videos, and this will maybe take between half to even more, maybe this much of the day. But then this other chunk of time, we are trying to figure out what the heck should we do. And for this here, we've had school, so we'll just write school. We've also been making Scripty, which is a SaaS. We do a bunch of kind of other kind of miscellaneous things that we're looking into, strategizing, a bunch of stuff. So basically, like a third of any given day could just be basically doing nothing. So nothing that's actually making real income. Because like school, for example, it's like $99 a month, right? And then like you maybe make 500 or 600. So you'll be like, minus. I'm doing my minuses back to front. But you understand the gist. You'll be maybe making like $400, which is less than a sponsored video. So then it's like if I could just do one more sponsored video instead of school, then it would save me a bunch of like context switching headache. Same with Scripty. Maybe we'll keep it, maybe we won't. But again, it's like Scripty is actually losing his money. Like I don't know, like $50 a month. It is the base for a lot of videos. But again, to remove the context, what could we maybe make one more video? And then miscellaneous stuff is like, should I start consulting? Should I start this? Should I start that? And honestly, that's like not really taking any money, but it is definitely taking hours, like maybe even 10 hours a week, trying to figure this kind of thing out. 5 to 10 hours a week. There's like, 2 to 3 videos, right? So 2 to 3 videos. So if you just make up whatever number you want, 500's a nice normal number. So here it's like you could have made one video, 500, another video, 500, 3 videos, 1,500, 2,500. You could have got 2.5 grand more in any allotted, time period, a week or a month or whatever it is, right? You get the gist. So you could be doing like 20 to 50% more work, or in this pie chart, 33% more work. So you could up it by a third here, which would be substantial. It would get us out of here and into somewhere else. So we're scaling up. So as I've been speaking here, you're probably realizing that what's happening is, well, like, are we builders? Are we educators? Are we consultants? I don't know what I am. And this is the thing I go through every day. Then I realised, I'm like, right, scratch that. We're actually a media company. All of our money comes from media. If we were going to 10x this, or figure out how to scale it, or listen to Alex Hormozi's advice on anything about money, you need to be honest with your actual money model, which is, we're a media company. We make videos for money. That's it, right? We're not YouTubers, like personalities or anything. We just make media. Sure, it's technical media, but it's still media as a business model, right? So just remember that as a business, we're a media business. But what the media is technical, so we still need to have some skills, but it's media. So there's a couple of things that made me realise this, and one of them is actually a job opportunity. So about a year ago, I had someone approach me for a job, and I said no, because I wanted to go my own way and make, 200 grand a month on school or something. Tried it out. I just keep not really doing it, not committing. Realised that all of these guys who are making a ton of money on school, they already were making good money as consultants. So anyway, now I then was like, wait, why don't I just try and work for them again? Because I saw they had a job advertisement up. So I approached them and I was like, hey, just to follow up on this email chain, I think this could be a good opportunity now. And they're like, yeah, that'd be amazing. So I've made a couple of test videos and we're waiting to see whether or not we get that job. Let me actually check live on camera on the other side here to see. We can run the email in the background to see if we have anything new. So let me see. Any new mail? We'll ask our AI agent. Because that would be a cool live reaction. So I had this job opportunity, and it's videos, it's media, it is technical videos with Follier Company. So I realised, wait, my job is making videos, it's not AI. So that's the first thing. Second thing, we then had another opportunity, possibly for a job, and then I realised that I could try and outsource some of this to make it essentially part of our media company, because that's the overarching company for our business is Burn Media Limited. No new mails. Boo. Wait, let me see sync just to make sure. But yeah, opportunity is media, so we're a media company anyway, because that is how we were making money. And now we're getting another opportunity, which is within media, and we're trying to navigate to figure out this. And each of these opportunities could be thousands of dollars per month. So I'm like, wait, this is my job. This is what I do. I make media. Obviously, it's just within AI and whatever, but the problem is when you're making your own media and relies on sponsored videos, you want to get away from sponsored videos a little bit because you're not sure. You're like, but I want to be a YouTuber and all this stuff. Whereas when you have like a job, you're like, oh yeah, of course that's what I do. But it just made me realize that that's what I actually do. So we're going to realign and just be like, okay, so we're a media company. So right now we have begun working with a thumbnail designer, so our first thumbnail designer. And for context, to pay the thumbnail designer for 1 week is approximately half of a video. So if I can do even half of a video more by outsourcing, we break even. Genius, no brainer, because I think I will do more because the context is removed from my mind and we can start to then scale up. Next thing we're going to try and do, as an editor, and then possibly even like a VA or even just like an inbox manager or something. And suddenly then, in the workflow of, emails, oh my goodness, what happened there? Emails to, scripting, to then filming, editing, and thumbnail, film, I'll just do E and T, editing and thumbnail. Normally for me, emails honestly take ages. So like, for a given video, if I include like all the other messing around, script can take a good hour. Filming can take, between 1 and 3 hours, honestly, depending on what kind of video it is. So we'll just say 2. And then editing, honestly, right now, because I'm trying to use AI and stuff, can take like 2 hours, which is a nightmare. And thumbnails and titles could take like 1, kind of. And then this, back and forth email stuff, honestly, it takes hours every day of my life. But we'll just say 1 for a video. So even here, you got 1, 2, 4, 6, 7 hours. And that's just me being kind of whatever, give or take. So suddenly then, if I can get an editor and a thumbnail designer, that's saving 3. If I can get an emails guy, that's saving 4. And suddenly then, I'm saving 3 hours a day. So I'm down to 4. And so if I was normally have like an 8-hour day, I can almost do double the amount of videos, as long as we get enough people coming. And that's where it then starts to make sense, where if you're doing a media company job here, it's like having, like running it as a media company would be too much on my own. But running these two, plus then, like 3 would be me, and then Joanna as well, so my co-director, her channel started making money now as well, which is amazing. So now suddenly you have like these 4 things for the 2 of us to manage. But if we can offload a bunch of this and maybe get other faces to do things, etc., we become an actual company instead of just like a one-man band. So this is the direction that we're hoping to go in. We'll see kind of how it goes, but just this idea of the jobs and the opportunities here has just opened my eyes to what we should and could be doing, which essentially is leveraging my technical expertise and content creation skills to become what is, in a sense, a developer advocate for a company, or something to this effect. So we'll see where we go, but it's looking promising. And if it all works out, as a company, we might be bumping up from like 11k to, like best case scenario, honestly could be like 35k maybe, and that's absolute best case scenario. And as I was saying before, if I can cut everything down by like 40%, then I could technically do 2 jobs in the same time you know? So it's genius. So we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes, because what would that be a year? Just out of curiosity, 335 a year would be 350 plus 60 would be 410k a year annualized for a business, a two-person business plus some contractors. That's not bad. But then that's what I'm noticing as we're starting to think of scaling and stuff. Suddenly you're going from like, whatever it is, like 100% of everything, suddenly down to like 10 plus maybe 20 is like 30. So you're down to like 70%. Then minus more expenses, you're down to like 60 to 50% real margins. Then you're gonna get taxed like 25% or something of this, which is 15. So you're 55. So you're actually like, you're probably getting like 45 for every 100. So just interesting things I wanted to share with you, because I think this is going to be super important for me to look back on, and hopefully it gives someone out there who's thinking of becoming a full-time creator that they can kind of follow along with my journey to some degree to see how it goes. So wish me luck. Hopefully we get everything we want. God willing. But we'll see. We'll see what we've got in store. But I guess my single takeaway for people here really would be, and it always has been this, which is follow the money. And I know that sounds bad, but essentially what follow the money does is money is just an exchange of value. And so if you're going to actually get paid for something, you're given real value, because that's how you make money. And I know we've got this thing right now where we like demonize money making and whatever and value, but in reality, for normal people, it's true. It's just a value exchange. So follow the money if you want to become a full-time YouTuber, is my advice. I hope you liked the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. Any questions, let me know in the comments below. I can always answer them in my next video. I want to start doing more of these again to track this, because in the space of like a month, we've gone from, oh my gosh, what we're going to do, to possibly having, essentially, a media company. So, see you later.